quickly. We are about to start. Just a quick thumbs up. Perfect. So it's 3 now. Let's start today's session. So now, first, let me introduce myself. I'm Teacher Smith, and today I'll be going through the mock exam that we did on 16th of this month. Now, throughout the papers, what we have realized is some of the questions went too difficult for the students. And this difficult, that is challenging questions, it's very important to understand because a similar type of question can appear in your SA2 exam, which will be in coming days. So, making sure we are prepared with all this, let's get started. So, the things that we are going to discuss now is the questions. Now, how can we determine which questions to discuss and which questions to not? So what we have done is, we have done an analysis of paper 1 and paper 2 from the mock exam. So if I show you an analysis of paper 1 that is present here this is paper 1 score rate. You can observe in paper 1, there are in total 30 questions which you can see on this horizontal line. That is from question 1 all the way to question 30. And here also in the vertical line, we can see this is the score rate, that is in percentages. Now, there are some questions that we can observe went a bit challenging for students. If you see clearly, it's question number 7, I can say. You can see this rate is a bit lower than as compared to normal questions. And not just this question 17, there are 7, there are other questions also. So if I highlight it for you, it looks something like this. So in the review class, what we are going to go through is, we are going to go through 4 questions from paper 1 first. That is question number 7, question 14, question 23 and question 29. Now this was just about paper 1. Oh, there's one student that's asking me, will you go through all the questions? No, these are the really challenging questions that I'll say. So we'll be going through these questions only. So first, paper 1, 4 questions, but we have paper 2 also. So if I show you an analysis of paper 2, it looks something like this. We all know in paper 2 there were in total 17 questions. So here the horizontal line, we can see from question 1 all the way to question 17. And this is the marks rate. That is every student how much he scored in it. And here also we can see some graphs, some questions, the graph is going down. This means question number 8 was a bit challenging for students. Question number 13, you can say only 60% could have applied, 40% didn't. So we are going to go through this questions also. 4 questions from paper 2. Question 8, question 13, 14 and 15. So let's see what was the difficulties that was faced in paper 1 and paper 2 so that we can do the corrections quickly. So starting off with the first one, that is paper 1 question number 7. Now first of all, let me pick up my pen, and in the same time you can also take up your pen also. So what the question says is, let me read it for you. Bala was the movie on television that lasted for 1 hour 45 minutes. The movie ended at 11:05 p.m. What time did the movie start? Now, if I pay attention to the question, here we can see it's 11:05, but it is in p.m. But if I check the options that are present here, check the options. Here, if you pay attention on closely, there's no AM/PM. This means the options that are given to us is in 24 hours format. This is 24-hour format. But the question that is given to us is just 12-hour format. It's in AM and PM. So the first thing that we have to do is, before solving, we have to make the format same so that we don't make any mistakes. So this 11:05 p.m. 11:05 p.m. If I convert it into 24-hour format, 11 means we just have to add 12 to it. So this simply becomes 23:05. Now the format is same for the option and the question as well. But the question says the movie lasted for 1 hour 45 minutes. So to understand it in a more better way, the best thing we can do is we can draw a timeline. check. Here I'm going to draw a timeline for you. And when the movie ended, the time recorded was 23:05. Now, first things first, I have to get rid of this 5 so that I can easily calculate the time. So to get rid of this 5, I will move 5 minutes behind. That is here. So let's say this represents 5 minutes. And if I go 5 minutes behind, the time will be just 23:00. But I don't have to move 5 minutes. I have to go back 1 hour 45 minutes that are present in here. So first, if I go back 1 hour, that is exactly from this part, that is 23:00 to here. That is 1 hour. So time will be just 10. That is 22:00. Now what the question says, it's 1 hour 45 minutes. So still 40 minutes remaining. So I'll go back more 40 minutes. And when I do this, I can easily get the time. That is 40 minutes behind. It's 21:20. And if you check the options closely, it's nothing but option 4. This is the correct option. Now, where most of the students made mistake, they kept the time format the same, that is 11:05 as it is. Now because of which what happened is they got the answer, that is 9:20, but they directly marked this 9:20 as option 2, which is incorrect. 9:20 means it's actually PM, not AM, and here it is AM, so not possible. So first thing, whenever you have question based on time, the first thing that you should check is the format. Check the format of the time. Is it 12 hours or 24 hours? The second thing that we have to do is draw a timeline. So I'll directly write it down. That is draw. So remembering these 2 points, you can never make mistakes on questions based on time. Now understanding the seventh one, moving on to the next question. That is question 14. Again of paper 1, remember? So let's read the question. Question says, a school book shop ordered 200 books to sell over a period of 5 days. The graph below shows the number of books left at the end of each day. Study the graph and answer the question 14 and 15. So what we can observe here is there's a graph given, and this graph is nothing but for number of books that are left. So here we can see dates, that is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. And on the vertical scale, we can see 0, 20, 40. It's nothing but the number of books I can see. The question is asking me how many books were sold on Thursday. It's asking me sold on Thursday. So to find out how many books got sold on Thursday, I need to first find out how many books were present on Wednesday so that I can count how many were sold. So on Wednesday, if I focus here, this point that is present on Wednesday is actually in the middle of 10, 100 and 80. So if it's between 100 and 80, so exactly middle means this point represents 90. Now, if this represents 90 on Wednesday, on Thursday we can clearly see that the number of books left were 60. But the question is asking me how many were sold. Sold. Sold means from 90, the number went down to 60. This means 30 books were sold. So to calculate it, 90 minus 60, which is equal to 30. So the correct answer to this question is 30. Now, what most of the students did is, what they did, they directly saw Thursday, and to find out the number of books, they directly read it as 60 and they marked option C, which is incorrect. So the correct option here is 30. So whenever you have question based on graph, first thing you check what is given in the graph, what all information is given. Second is highlight what it's asking. See, highlight, it's asking sold on Thursday. So if you keep these 2 points in mind, you can never do mistakes again. That these are some mistakes that we can find out in the paper. Now moving on to the next question, that is question 23. A very interesting question, I'll say. Question says, Miss Livia prepared two-third liters of apple juice for her son. Her son drank 3/5 of it. How many apple juice did her son drink? Now, here there are lot of fractions that is given to us. So, what's the best thing that we can do to visualize all these fractions? The best thing is we can draw a model out of it. And when I draw a model, I can see these things that is very clearly. So, let me change my pen to draw a model in a better way. So, at first, if I start drawing a model directly, yeah, this is here. This is in total that we can see. So if this is the total model that we can observe, the question says 2/3 liter. So this model I have to divide it in how many parts? We can see from the denominator that it is just 3. So I'll divide it in 3 equal parts. So 1, 2 and 3. Now what happened here is this 2/3 of the liter is nothing but what mother gave. So I label this part that is present over here as mother. So keeping in mind this was prepared by mother. Now what the question says is her son drank only 3/5 of it. So 3 over 5 of it only he drank. But this is 2 parts and I have to convert it into 5 parts. Is it difficult? Oh, 2 parts converted into 5 parts directly I can't do. So the best thing is I can find out a common multiple between 2 and 5. And when I find out a common multiple, I can understand, oh, common multiple is just 10. So this 2 parts, I have to convert it into 10 parts. This means each part I have to divide it in how many units? Yes, we have to just divide it in 5 parts. That is 5 units. So if I would divide it, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And also here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And also the last remaining part also I'll divide 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So from this information, what we can understand is this 2 part was prepared by mother, but 3/5 of it was drank by the son. So 3/5 of this 10 is nothing but how many units? 3/5 of 10 is nothing but just 6. So this means the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This 6 was actually drank by the son, I can say. Now, what the question is asking, how much apple juice did her son drink? So, how much of the entire apple juice? So, how to find it out? To find it out, we see out of the total 15 units because one part has 5. There are in total 3 parts, what I just made. So, total is 15 units and he only drank 6. So, which is nothing but 6 over 15. And there's one thing we can understand from 6 and 15. There is a multiple relationship between this. So, I can easily simplify this to be as 2. I can cancel it by 3. So 3 2s are 6 and 3 5s are 15. So the correct answer for this question is 2 over 5. Now you might be wondering in which part the student made mistake. Most of the student left their answer in terms of 6 over 15. Now because of this 6 over 15, the question was just for 1 marks and they lost this mark. The reason was not simplifying. So make sure whenever you have fractions, realize if we can simplify it or not. If we can, first simplify it and then proceed. So here for this question, the correct answer is only 2 over 5. Now understanding this, moving on to the next one, that is question number 29, the last question of paper 1. I mean the last question that we are going to discuss of paper 1. Very interesting question. Again, I'll say. The question says, books were arranged in a shelves. There were 15 books in each shelf except for 4 shelves, which were empty. John rearranged the books that all the shelves had 12 books each. How many shelves had book at first? Oh, so here we can understand there were shelves and in the shelves 15 books were kept. So to understand this situation, the best thing that I can do is I can draw a graph out of it to understand it in a more better way. So I can understand every shelf. Let's say this is a shelf, that is shelf 1. The first shelf had 15 books. There is second shelf also. There are many shelves and every of the shelf had just 15 books. But What happened in this case? When there were 15 books, there were 4 shelves that were left. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now what happened is, there's a person who rearranged this book. He rearranged it in such a way that every shelf got 12 books each. Now after rearranging, every shelf has just 12, 12, dot, 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 and 12. Now every shelf is filled. This means this 4 shelves that were empty, they are also filled. So the condition, let's try to understand the condition. This is nothing but the number of books that were present at first. So this is what the question says. And this is nothing but what happened later. So I can say at the end. Now what happened is, after distribution, it's asking me how many shelves had books at first. So the only thing that I want to pay attention on here is, it's asking me at first. So this means I have to calculate the number of shelves that I had at first. That is this question mark. Now, to find out this question mark, there's one thing that we can understand. Here at first, these 4 shelves were empty. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, these 4 shelves, to fill it, I have put this 12 books on this shelf. Now, if I ask you, from where does this 12 books, that is 12 books each, come from? Yes, we can find out the total of this 12 books at first. So, I can easily calculate using this extra books that is present. Let me change my pen. Extra books that is present, that is 12 times 4. And if I calculated this part, that is the extra part, 1, 2, 3, 4, it is nothing but 48. So there are in total 48 books that are extra. But if I ask you, if they are extra, from where did this extra book come from? Oh, who put this extra book? So it came from the books that we rearranged. This means from this 15, there were some of the books that were rearranged. And how many books I can take out so that I can arrange 12 in here? So from this 15 all the way to get this 12, 3 books were taken out. From the second shelf also 3 books were taken out. And from every of the shelf, 3 books were taken out so that the last 4 shelf can get 12. So I just have to calculate how many of these threes are present in here and how to calculate it. If there are in total 48 books and I have to count how many multiples of 3 are there, I just have to divide it by 3. That's it. So here, if I divide it by 3, I'll get 48 divided by 3, which is nothing but 3 ones are 3 and 3 6 are 18. So this 16 represents the number of threes, and number of threes means each 3 represents for one shelf. So 16 represents the number of shelves. So this is nothing but shelf at first. So after understanding this, what we can say? How many shelves were there at first? So the correct answer is just 16. So what we can understand from this question is, there was some extra part. And first I found out this extra, the total of this extra part. Now, after getting this total, I saw this extra part came from this 3 that is present. And I counted the multiples of 3, which represents the number of shelf. Now, most of the students, where they made mistake is, they forgot to understand this condition, that is at first. Most of the students got the answer, that is 16, but after getting 16, they just added 4 to it, that is getting 20. It's not the correct answer. It's asking me at first only, not at the end. Because at the end, there are 20 shelves that are filled. But at first, only 16 shelves. So make sure whenever you have questions, follow the same learning habit that I am following now. That is underlining the important parts in the question so that you don't make mistakes like such mistakes. So this completes our analysis for paper 1. Now moving on to the next one, that is questions from paper 2. The question is asking how many digits are there from 1 to 101. So what I can understand, from 1 to 101 I have to count the number of digits. Can I directly count from 1 to 1000, 101? Oh, it will be very challenging directly counting. I can make miscounting, I can double count some of the digits. I'm not sure. So the best thing that we can do is to count the number of digits. I'll use a systematic way of counting. Now, what's the systematic way? In this 1 to 101, I can see there are some numbers that have one digit, two digits, and three digits. So I will start counting this digit one by one. So if I start with one digit, how many numbers will have one digit? Yes, it's just from, oh, not zero. It starts from 1 because the question says it's from 1. So I'll start off with from 1 all the way to 9. And if I count the number of digits, oh, it's nothing but just 9 digits. Now, what the question says, it's still 101. So I have to count numbers having two digits also. So if I want to count the numbers having two digits, the best thing that I can do is find out the numbers that has two digits. Oh, from 10 it starts and all the way to 99 it continues. So I need to count how many numbers are there first because every number has two digits. So if I get the numbers, I can easily find out the digits. But this is the challenging part. How many numbers are there between 10 to 99? Can anyone answer this? I'll take a moment. Who can answer this question? How many numbers are there? For example, let's say from 5. Let's say if I give you an example. Here, from 5 all the way to 9. Let's say this is an example. I want to count the number that are present from 5 to 9. So the best thing that I can do is I can subtract the last digit from the first one. That is last number subtracted with 5. But 9 minus 5, actually if I count it's 5. So what I have to do is I just have to add one more digit. Because when I subtract, I lose this 5 also. So I have to add the number that I have subtracted. That's the reason why we add 1 to it. So if I solve this, this simply means it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is nothing but in total 5 numbers. So now, if I ask you for this one, that is 10 to 99, there will be how many numbers? If I want to calculate it, I will take the last number, subtract it with the first number, and then just add 1. And when I do this, I'll get 90 numbers. But this is 19 numbers. I want to find out digits. Every number has how many digits? Yes, it's two digits. So 90 times 2, which will give me 180 digits. Very good. Rikshen has given me the answer. Yes, Rikshen, it's correct. So now I have counted one digit, I have counted two digits. Now I will count three digits that are present. Now three digits is very simple because I have already reached till 99. Now the only two numbers that are left is 100 and 101. So I have to just check for 100 till 101. There are how many numbers? Just two numbers, and every number has nothing but three digits. So two numbers having three digits will give me six digits. Now, since the question is asking me total number of digits, I just have to add the total number of digits, that is 9, 180 and 6. And when I do this, that is total. So this simply means 9 plus 180 plus 6, which will give me answer, that is 195 digits. So here in this question, what we can understand is, now most of the students, they directly analyze from 1 to 101, because of which they made this mistake. For this type of question, the most important part is you start counting systematically. One digit, two digit, if the number is more, three digits, and so on. So if you count in a systematic way, you will never make mistake. And the second thing to remember from this question is, while counting the numbers, the last number subtracted with the first number and then just have to add 1. You can easily get the numbers that are present in between them. So understanding this, moving on to the next part, that is question 13. If I read the question for you, question says, a rectangular tank 38 centimeter long, 23 centimeter wide and 18 centimeter high is 4 over 5 full of water. When one-fourth of the water was removed from the tank, how many liters of the water was left in the tank? Express your answer as a decimal correct to two decimal places. So at first, when I read the question, I can understand the rectangular tank's dimension is given. That is 38, 23 and 18. And if I label this in our actual figure, so this represents the length, that is 38 centimeter. This represents the width, that is 23 centimeter. And the height is given to us, that is 18 centimeters. Now what the question says is, this part, this tank is 4 over 5 full of water. It's 4 over 5 full of water. When the tank is actually full, how much water it will hold? Yes, it will hold nothing but the volume of it. That is 38 times 23 times 80. But the question is asking me 4/5. So at first, what I have to do is I have to first find out what is the water that is present inside this tank. And to calculate this water that is present in here, what I have to do is I have to just take 4/5 of this water. So 4/5 of water. Water is nothing but in total the volume of the tank, that is 38 times 23 times 18. And when I solve this, I can easily get the answer. That is, let me see, 128. Oh, 125. Let me have a correction. So when you calculate it directly using your calculators, you can get the answer. That is 12585.6 centimeter cube. So this is in centimeter cube. So what I can understand is, now this is the water that is present in this tank. But what the question says is, one-fourth of the water was removed. So one-fourth is removed. So how much water is left in the tank? So out of this part, if one-fourth is removed, how much water will be left? How to calculate it? Yes, if one-fourth is removed, then three-fourth will be left inside it. So I can easily find out this part, that is water left. So to find out this part is nothing but 1 minus 1 over 4 of nothing but 12585.6. And when I solve this, I can easily get the answer, that is 9439.2 centimeter cube. Now, the answer that I've got is nothing but 9439.2. It's in centimeter cube. I got the water that is left. But this is the part where most of the students made mistakes. What they did is, the question is asking express your answer as a decimal place correct to two decimal places, and also it should be in liters. Currently, is the value in liters? No, it's in centimeter cube. So to convert it into liters, what I have to do? Yes, I have to just divide it by 1000. So here, this 9439.2 centimeter cubes, to convert it into liters, I have to divide by 1000. And when I divide this, I'll get 9.4392. That is in terms of liters now. Now, the first condition of the question I have satisfied, that is in liters. But it's asking me up to two decimal places also. That is, to two decimal places, I have to give the answer. Now, what most of the students did is, they just left the answer, that is 9.43. No. Here, if you pay attention closely, this part that is present, if I have to round off till only this part, I have to first observe which digit is present here. The digit that is present here, okay, sorry. The digit that is present here is 9. This 9 is greater than 5. So if it's greater than 5, what do we do? Yes, we add 1 to the previous digit. And if we add 1, the correct answer for this question is 9.44 liters. And that's how we can satisfy every conditions from the question, making sure we don't make any mistake. The question has asked me answer in two forms, that is liters and also till two decimal places. Most of the students have got the answer. They got the answer, that is 9.43. But they forgot to round it off. So make sure whenever you have questions, best part, you highlight everything in the question. If you highlight everything, you will not make any such type of mistakes. So whenever there's question based on volume, one thing to pay attention on is formula, and the second thing to pay attention on is how much is remaining and how much is left. Understanding this, moving on to the next question. Here, this question says, Miss Chunky and Min Jun bought mangoes at the price shown below. Mangoes are only sold in packs. So at first what happened is, Junki had $200. What was the greatest number of big mangoes he could buy with $200? So the first part of the question is very simple. Here we can see he can buy big mangoes, 3 mangoes for $24. So if he had 200 since this question was attempted by all of the students, so I'll just move on to it a bit fast. So since I have $24 is the price of 3 mangoes and I have $200, I can easily find out the number of mangoes. For this I have to just divide this 200 by 24, and when I do this I can easily get the answer, that is 8 remainder 8. Now, what does this means? This 8 remainder 8 means I can buy 8 packs of mangoes. Now, this is packs, this is groups. This is nothing but number of group. If this is number of group, in every group, there are how many mangoes? See, every group has 3 mangoes. The question is asking me total number of mangoes. So, it's 8 times 3, which is nothing but 24. And this represents mangoes. That is the big mangoes. So, this completes the first part of the question, which is very simple. Moving on to the challenging part where most of them have made mistakes is the part B. Now, what part B says is, Minjun bought an equal number of big mangoes and small mangoes. He spent $66 less on the small ones. How many mangoes did he buy altogether? So, the question says he bought the same number of mangoes. So, he has two types of mangoes at first. He has big mangoes and Minjun also has some small mangoes. Now, if I pay attention to here closely, these big mangoes are sold in such a way that every of them has just three, three, and he bought many. I don't know how many, but he bought some here. Now, regarding the small mangoes, how they are selling is, in one packet, there are 5 of the mangoes. So, one packet is 5, 5, 5. I don't know how many packs, but it's 5. But the question says he bought equal number of mangoes. So the number of mangoes that are present here, that is the total, should be same. So in which condition I can achieve that the number of mangoes is same? For that, what I have to do is I have to first pay attention on the detail that is present. How many threes will be equal to how many fives? And if I think more clearly, this 5 threes will be equal to 3 fives. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This 5 threes will be equal to 3 fives. That is nothing but 5, 5 and 5. Because the common multiple between 3 and 5 is 15. And in this way only I can achieve equal numbers. That is only this multiples of 15 and the lowest is just 15. So what we can understand is the question says he spent $66 less on small ones. So on small mangoes he spent $66 less. So at first I have to count how much was the price of this 5 big mangoes pack. This 5 packs. So to find out the number, what I have to do is we can observe every of this 3 packet that is sold, every of them is sold for $24. So if I label it for you, see, every one is sold 3 mangoes for 24, 3 mangoes for 24, 3 mangoes for 24, and 3 mangoes for 24. But regarding the small mangoes, the price was a bit less. That is just 18. So 18, 18 and 18. Now what the question says, if the number that is spent is 66 less. Right now, if I check for the number of big mangoes, so here, if I write it down for you, the price that is spent for big mangoes, that is big. For big mangoes, how much he spent, and for small mangoes, how much he spent. I can easily find this out. For big mangoes, the total amount that he spent is nothing but 24. But how many times 24? Yes, it's $24 times 5. And when I calculate this, I can easily get the answer, that is 120. So this is about the big mangoes, that is the amount that he spent. But for small mangoes, how much amount he spent? Oh, there's only 3 packs that he bought. One pack just for 18 of the dollars. So I can easily get the answer, that is 18 times 3. So if I solve it, 18 times 3, which is nothing but equal to 60, oh sorry, 54. So what we can understand here, big mangoes is 120, the amount that he spent, and small mangoes is 54, the amount that he spent. And when I try to compare these two values, check, 120 and 54 is actually $66 less. So this means the number that we just assume, that there will be 5 3s and 3 5s, is actually correct. So what the question is asking? The question is asking me how many mangoes did he buy all together. So all together, how many did he buy? Here there were 15 mangoes. Here there were in total 15 mangoes. So here it's 15. Here it's 15. This is nothing but mangoes. This is nothing but mangoes. So in total, there are how many mangoes? So which is nothing but equal to answer as 15 times 2, which is nothing but 30 mangoes. So here, what we can understand from this question is, the best thing in this question, there was a relationship that is given to us. First is regarding the equal numbers. From these equal numbers, first, I tried to make the number of mangoes same. 3 and 5. The only way that they can be same is by using common multiple. So I use common multiples of 3 and 5, that is 15. So first condition I satisfied. The second condition was, it was $66 less. So if it's less, I tried to find out the values of big and small. And when I find it out, I found that this 5 big mangoes pack was actually equal to this 3 small mangoes pack. And in this way, it was $66 less. So we can easily calculate the value, that is 30 mangoes. Now moving on to the next question, that is question number 15. Now for this question, what it's asking is, Tian bought some burgers and Coke. She paid a total of $154 for all the 3/5 of the food bought were Coke and the rest were burgers. Each burger cost $8 and each Coke cost $2. So there's two of the question that it's asking. The first question is very simple. Almost all of you have attempted this question. Oh, there's a doubt by one of the student. But 66 is the difference. Why can't you take 24 minus 18, that is 6, then take 66 divided by 6? But 24 minus 18 is 6. Yes, the price difference between each of them. This is the price difference. 24 minus 8 is 6. And this means there will be 11. 11 threes and 11 fives. And in this way also I can find out. But if you count, the number of mangoes will be incorrect, Rikshay. So, moving on to our question, that is again back to question number 1. What is the ratio between number of burgers to the number of Coke? So, the first question is very simple. It says it's 3 over 5. It's a fraction. So, the best thing that I can do to visualize the first part is fractions. To visualize, I'll draw a model out of it. So, here if I draw a model for you, this in total. So, this is the model that it will look something like this. So this model I have to divide it in how many parts? Yes, we can divide it in 5 parts. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now out of which the question says 3 over 4 was Coke. and rest was burger. So this part represents for Coke, and the remaining part that is present in here represents the burgers. Oh my god, I'm getting hungry now. So this Cokes and burger I got. The question is asking me the ratio between burgers to Coke. So burger is nothing but how many units? It's nothing but two parts. Coke is how many parts? Three parts. So the ratio of burger to Coke, I can easily find out that is nothing but 2 is to 3. So the first part of the question is very simple, and I would like to appreciate all of you to get this question correct. But here comes the challenge. The challenging part for this question is part B, where most of the students made mistake. So, what part B says is, how many burgers did she buy altogether? So, to solve this part, we have to take the information from the first part. From the first part, we can see burger to Coke ratio is 2 is to 3. So, I'll write it down as burger to Coke. This ratio I have found out that is 2 is to 3. So this ratio is actually same. That is, there are 2 burgers to every 3 Coke. Now the question says each burger cost $8 and each Coke cost $2. This is the individual price that I know. So, to understand all this situation clearly, the best thing I can do is I can draw a graph so that everyone can understand it in a more clear way. So, let's see if I draw a burger for you. Check. This is burger and Coke. Now, what the question says, it's in the ratio of 2 is to 3. This means for every 2 burgers, there is 3 Cokes. So, let's say if I represent this. For every 2 burgers, there is 3 Coke. So, is there only this many burgers and Coke we can understand? No, it's more, right? So, what I can think is, let's say, if I consider this to be in one box, you can say, oh, McDonald's Happy Meal. In this Happy Meal, there are 2 burgers and there are 3 Cokes. So, in one Happy Meal, 2 burgers, 3 Cokes. So, is there only one Happy Meal? No, the question says it's $154. This means there are many of them, many Happy Meals. And in every Happy Meal, we can see there's 2 burger again and 3 Cokes. And there are actually many. The number, I don't know. But there are many Happy Meals. But the question says the total I know. The total money that he spent on Happy Meals, you can say. So this money that is spent is nothing but $154. Now I have to find how many burgers did she buy. But if you pay attention closely, this 154 represents the money, the value. And this burger and Coke B and C represents the number. So I have to first find out how much does the Coke cost and how much does the burger cost. For that, the information is given to us. Burger cost $8. So I can write down 8. I can write down 8. For every of the Coke, it costs just $2. So I'll write down 2. Here also it's 2 and here also it's 2. So I can easily find out the price of one Happy Meal. So if I want to find out price of one Happy Meal, that is this part. So this part I can easily get. That is, for burgers, there are 2 burgers. Every burger costs 8. So the price of the burger is nothing but $8. And since there are 2 burgers in one Happy Meal, it's nothing but in total $16. So this was the price of burger in one Happy Meal. But there is Coke also. For Coke, what I can see is there's $2 for one, but there are 3 in one Happy Meal. And in total, this is nothing but $6. So, in one pack, one group, you can see. One group, the cost is nothing but 16 plus 6. That is nothing but, if I calculate it, 16 plus 6 is nothing but $22. So, the cost of one of this is just $22. So, if one group is 22, I have many groups. And the total price for this group that is given to us is 154. So, how to find out the number of groups? Yes, we can easily find out the number of groups what we have to do is just simply divide it. So this $154, I have to just divide it using this price of one group, that is $22. And when I do this, I can easily get the answer, that is 7. So this means there are 7 happy meals. 7 happy meals. Every happy meal has how many burgers? Yes, 2. So I can easily find out the number of burgers. So number of burgers. One happy meal has just 2 and there are 7 happy meals. So in total there are 14 of the burgers that I can understand. So the most interesting part for this question is when I started making the graph, there's one thing I can understand. There's not one happy meal. There are many meals that are present. So this many meals are actually repeating, you can say. So whenever there is a repetition that you can observe in the group. So repeating, 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 repeating. The best thing that you can do is you can group this together. As of now, currently, there's 2 burgers and 3 Coke. I try to group them up as one happy meal. So this is what we can understand from this question. Let me summarize it for you quickly. So whenever you have question based on this summary, so whenever you see repetition, repetition, the best thing that you can do is, I think I accidentally corrected here. Okay, for this question, I'll directly do the summary for this one. So what we can understand from this question is summary. We can understand whenever there's repetition, there's group that are repeating again and again. I can consider this repetitions as a group. So whenever you see repetition, or you can say repetition, you can easily find out repetition. Let me erase this part quickly. I think the stream automatically got stopped in the middle because I think I accidentally pressed something. No worries. So here, whenever you see repetition, the best thing that you can do is use grouping method. Grouping method. You can consider it as one and you can easily find out the value. So here, this completes our session where we have discussed the questions. Now, there are other questions also where we can pay attention on. Let's say from all the questions that are present, that is here. This is paper 1 and this was actually paper 2. Now, you might have solved all the questions also. And I have discussed some of the questions from here. That is from paper 1 and paper 2. But while solving other questions, if you had any of the difficulties while solving, what you can do is you can contact. Apart from these questions, if there are any other questions that you can feel that is incorrect or you want an explanation for it, what you can do is you can message me on WhatsApp. So this completes our session where we try to discuss all the questions, important questions that most of the students made mistake in. Majorly what I observed is throughout the session, all these questions, the reason why they were incorrect is because of incorrect study habits. That is not understanding and satisfying the conditions of the question. So, my child, whenever you have questions, that is now you are giving exam next week. So, best thing that you can do is whenever you read the question, start highlighting it. When you highlight these questions well, then only you can be able to understand what the question is actually asking, what it's testing. And in this way, you can never make mistakes. So make sure whenever you are solving questions, first thing is you start highlighting what the question is asking, what is given in the question. Then you start solving, actually start solving. When you solve and at the end, when it's an end of the answer, you cross check with your answers. You substitute the value in the question, in the condition to check if your answer is correct or not. This is called as cross checking. So this all things you can pay attention on. That is next week. The other things that we can pay attention on is regarding geometry questions. In this SA2 paper, we came across that this geometry questions most of the student got incorrect. The reason was not proper labeling. So make sure whenever you see questions based on geometry, you label everything first so that you don't miss any of the details. Now, regarding fractions also, today the major questions that we covered was regarding fractions. That's the reason why I tried drawing models every time. So, whenever you also have question based on fractions, the best thing that you can do is draw models. Apart from this, the questions that we discussed right now was about grouping method. It's a part where most of the student tends to do mistake. So what you can do is to visualize everything in a better way. You try to draw a graph. Graph means whatever information is given, you try to represent it accordingly. And in this way, you can understand if there is a repetition or not. If there is a repetition, you consider using group method so that you can easily find out the individual values for the same. So this completes the review session, and as I said, apart from these questions, if you have any other doubts regarding the mock paper, all while starting practicing, so you can contact me on this WhatsApp. This is my personal WhatsApp number. You can contact me with any of your doubts or any of your questions. So with this, I'm Teacher Smith signing off right now, but I'll see you in the next sessions. For this, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and also join our PSLE 2025 group so that we can attend your doubts directly over there. So make sure you subscribe and like this video. Bye. Bye everyone. Bye. Is anyone has any questions about the session? Apart from these questions, if you have any other questions, you can let me know. This is my WhatsApp number. Bye. Bye, Brian. Bye, Rixin.